Welcome to DynamoBIM with Python, overriding dimensions. So I have a series of dimensions here, and my dimension style is my test, and what I want to do is I want to override it with some text. So what I'll do is start a Dynamo float, and I'm going to get a category of dimensions, filter them out by my test using a list filter by a Boolean mask, and then I'll write some Python code to override them. So here I'll use a Visual Studio's code, and I'll import the CLR, the Common Language Runtime, which will turn our script to machine language, and then I'll use the Revit API to go get the Autodesk Revit database, and I'll just go ahead and import all the Revit API. And then I'll go ahead and get the Revit services. So here from the CLR, add references, I'll go ahead and add the Revit services, and from Revit services, I'll get the persistent import document manager, and that'll be the session of Revit and the file that I'm working with. And then from the same Revit services, I'll get the transaction, and I'll go ahead and import the transaction manager. That way I can do safely a transaction with Revit. From the document manager, I'm going to get the instance or the current database document which I'm working with, which will be the file that I'm working with. And I'll go ahead and send that to the doc. Here I'll go ahead and the dimensions which the Dynamo flow sent in to my Python. I'll just go ahead and unwrap them because they're Revit elements and I need to work with them within Dynamo. And this is the great thing about leveraging Dynamo and Python, so that you can work with both of them. So here I'll go ahead and get the transaction instance. And I'll go ahead and ensure in transaction, and I'll go ahead and send in the document. This way I'll make sure that I'm the one that's in the queue and that I've gone ahead and set Revit into a safe mode. That way I can do my transaction. So I'll generate an empty list, and I'm going to iterate for every I in my list of dimensions that were sent in by my my Dynamo node. I'll go ahead and get the I value, and the value override is in the Revit API is a get and a set. So I'm going to set this override here with a string value, and I'll just go ahead and write some string in there to override it with. And then I'm going to get the override. So this is why it's a get and set. And this is in the Revit API doc if you're interested in looking it up. So here I'll get for every I, which would be individual dimension, I'll get the override and send it and append it to my empty list. And then once it's finished going through all the dimensions that I sent, I'll go ahead and finish the transaction and make sure the transaction task is done, and then send it out to do something else with Revit, or with Dynamo I should say. So I'll send it out. And I'll look over my code. It looks like I'm missing an S here in the transactions. All looks well. So I'm going to change the dimension to dim. That way it's more readable. So here when it gets set, it'll just be dim. And then I've also set them as individual dimensions instead of a consistent string. That way they overwrite each individual one. Anyways, thank you for watching. For more Dynamo and Python videos, please subscribe.